Shane's World, the life and times of our most lethal bowler. An entirely new spin on the boy from the burbs with the bad boy reputation.
I suppose I'm a little bit like Jekyll and Hyde.
But now Shane Warne is a doting dad, a squeamish dad when it comes to changing nappies.
Yeah, he's not exactly Mr. Mum material.
And after 6 months off with a shoulder injury, his priorities have changed dramatically.
What's best, being the family man or being probably the world's best spinner?
Family man.
His wealth was legendary. John Paul Getty made his fortune in oil, and he knew where every cent was every second.
Mr. Getty gave them tea, and then he sent them a bill for tea.
Getty, the tightwad, left billions and gave us this, one of the wonders of the 20th century.
How much money's in this one room? Oh, somewhere between $60 and $80 million in acquisition costs.
The cost was staggering, and the treasures inside simply breathtaking.
He could have given it to a dog's home. He chose to do this, and it seems to have worked.
I'm Richard Carlton.
I'm Jeff McMullen.
I'm Charles Woolley.
And I'm Liz Hayes. Those stories tonight on 60 Minutes.
All work and no play made him a billionaire. All play and no work made his brother a different kind of billionaire.
So you guys work Sundays now?
It's Wednesday, David.
Then she came into their lives.
Hello, Sabrina.
Sabrina? I really think that I'm falling in love with her.
A magical romantic comedy.
You can make it unhappy.
About three people who fall in love.
I got a surprise for you.
Harrison Ford, Julia Ormond, Greg Kinnear.
I love you.
The network premiere, Sabrina.
For Toyota tonight.
There's a real buzz of anticipation here today. The World Rally Drivers' Championship has been won, the last 2 years in a Mitsubishi Lancer. And they've used this rally experience to develop and improve the new Lancer. And yes, the marshals are moving people back. And here it comes now. Look at that. Fantastic. The new Lancer Coupe.
For a rally-based coupe from just $17,990 with free air, the answer, the new Lancer.
In 1999, holiday in Europe or Britain with Trafalgar Tours and fly to Europe with Cathay Pacific Airways from $13.99. Trafalgar offers first-class Europe and Britain tours with over 93 to choose from, inclusive of quality hotels, most breakfasts, dinners and great sightseeing too. To get this $13.99 airfare, book by the 30th of November. So call your local Travelland.
If you have a car accident, just how far will your insurance company go to help you? At FAI, we think it's only fair that your repair job should come with a lifetime guarantee of workmanship and that your maximum no-claim bonus should be protected. Sound fair to you? Then call FAI on 13 1000. 24 hours, 7 days for a quote. 13 1000. We're here right now to take your call.
Farmers, if you want grain silos delivered during harvest without any delays, call Moylan Silos of Kellerberrin. No supply problems here. Moylan grain silos are the largest selling silos in WA because they're built to last. Moylans use hydraulic-driven solid rivets on the base and wall seams, with new safety features including a slide-away child-proof ladder and personnel cages standard. To order your fully sealed and galvanised grain silo, call Mike or Corey Moylan today on 9045 4305.
It's on Avenue Lighting's hottest ever lighting sale with huge savings on all kinds of lighting. Choose from their selection of quality fixtures and save big time. Check out the bargains table for unheard of low prices and value buys. Biggest range on display in the southwest. There's downlights, exteriors, table lamps and more. Prices have been heavily reduced, but for a short time only and only at Avenue Lighting's massive lighting clearance, 143 Lockyer Avenue.
One escaped beheading, the other 500 lashes and 8 years in a Saudi prison. Back home in Britain now, the two women convicted of killing Australian nurse Yvonne Guilford have not let the matter lie. These two British nurses, who've long protested their innocence, have now turned on each other. In their first interview for Australian television, they've made some extraordinary allegations about each other and about a stolen bank card that is central to this case. I came to Britain this week for a simple interview with nurse Lucille McLaughlin about her book on this affair. But this week has seen whole new chapters of this grisly murder mystery open up. It's 6 months now since the two British nurses were bought their freedom from a Saudi Arabian jail and sent home. For Lucille McLaughlin, the one sentenced to jail and the whipping, home is the small town of Dundee in the northeast of Scotland. But her homecoming hasn't been quite as she may have hoped. Here in your hometown of Dundee, what do you reckon the population splits? 50-50 you did it?
I think probably even more than that I did it. You know, people reading the newspapers believe what they read, as I did before I went to Saudi.
Tomorrow, Lucille's book on the murder of Yvonne Guildford goes on sale. Cover to cover, it's a plea for all of us to believe she had nothing to do with it. If you didn't kill Yvonne Guildford, who did?
I have no idea. I have no idea. All I can sit here and tell people is that I certainly didn't do it.
So why did you confess?
Through fear. Sheer blind terror. And I had my hands handcuffed behind my back sometimes with no clothes on apart from a very small t-shirt, no pants, no trousers. You have these 6 policemen standing around you, touching you intimately when you don't want them to, you know. And I honestly believed that if I didn't do what they wanted me to do, that I would then be raped.
That you would be raped?
Yeah, I certainly believed that at the time.
Tell me, Deborah, where were you on the night of the 11th of December, 1996, a Wednesday night?
Well, sleeping. I didn't sort of hear anything or go anywhere or do anything.
Deborah Parry says her book is still being written. There's much she doesn't understand about what happened, including why her cellmate didn't tell her she was in Yvonne Guildford's flat the night of the murder.
I was amazed.
If she didn't tell you, why didn't she tell you, do you think?
Well, I don't know, because I believe that there have been 3 different accounts as to what she was doing that night, to 3 different people.
Okay, well, does that make you a little bit suspicious? Well, what's the answer, yes or no?
It does make me a little bit suspicious.
The previous amount had been sent to her account the previous day.
George Galloway is more than suspicious. This Labour Member of Parliament has been to Saudi Arabia and conducted his own investigation.
Well, I don't have a scintilla of doubt that the 2 women who confessed to having done it and whom the Saudi court found had done it, Deborah Parry and Lucille McLaughlin, are the killers and the grave robbers of the bank account of Yvonne Guildford. I'm in no doubt whatsoever about that.
The 2 British nurses went to Saudi Arabia attracted by generous tax-free salaries. In this strict Islamic country, they were effectively segregated from the local community in well-guarded hospital quarters. It was there, say the Saudis, that a lesbian love triangle went wrong and Guildford was murdered.
I don't believe Yvonne was a lesbian. I'm certainly not a lesbian. I've never had a lesbian relationship, never. I'm heterosexual. You know, I've never had a relationship with another woman. As far as I'm aware, neither has Debbie Parry. So where did this lesbian thing come from? I was engaged to be married. Yvonne lived with somebody in South Africa. Debbie Parry has had numerous relationships with men. You know, it's outrageous.
Lucy is the last known person to have seen Guildford alive. She says they'd spent the night together watching a video. So when you left at 10 or 10:30 on the Wednesday night, she was in good spirits?
Yeah, she was fine. Absolutely fine. That's the last time I actually saw Yvonne.
Right. And what did you do when you left?
Our apartment. I went back to my own apartment. Well, my fiancé at that time, Grant, telephoned me that night. You know, we also do have phone records to prove I did leave Yvonne's apartment and was back in my own apartment when my husband, my fiancé telephoned me. You know, we do have records from British Telecom.
And Yvonne was murdered sometime after that.
Well, according to our autopsy report, yes, in the early hours of the morning. It doesn't say a specific time.
7 days later, Lucille and Deborah were arrested for Yvonne's murder. The two women were interrogated in separate rooms. At the end of the first day, Lucille was led by the police into Deborah's room, and she named Deborah as the murderer.
Oh, I don't believe I'm hearing this. Why would she do this to me? And I still don't know why. Okay, she feared rape. But to me, that still isn't reason enough to accuse someone of murder. I still don't understand her motives, but she obviously has a reason for that.
I believed at that point in time that Debbie had in fact been involved in the murder of Yvonne for various reasons.
Well, on the first day, when you went into her cell and said she's the one that did it?
Yeah, I actually believed that Debbie had murdered Yvonne.
Those reasons included scratches on Deborah's hand and missing hair, which Deborah believes she can explain away. But the Saudis didn't need this evidence. After all, they had the confessions. The nurses say their admissions were made under severe pressure, torture even, and they later withdrew them. Deborah was sentenced to be beheaded and Lucille to receive 500 lashes and 8 years in jail.
We've asked for the maximum penalty at the time.
What saved them was an agreement by Yvonne Guilford's Australian brother, Frank, to have them pardoned in return for more than $1 million. Blood money, it was called. So what's your view of Deborah Parry now?
Angry at Debbie, basically. Both of us should have been coming home. We would never have been friends, but we could have campaigned together against the Saudi authorities to try and get them to release the evidence the state they have. I think the both of us would have had more credibility doing it together than doing it apart.
You speak of credibility. What do you think your credibility is?
Well, none at the moment. Not with a trial coming up in Dundee accused of theft.
That relates to the events of April 1996, when Lucy was working here as a nurse, Dundee's King's Cross Hospital. Now, she was dismissed from that position when the police charged her with the illegal use of an elderly woman patient's cash card. It's alleged she made 14 separate withdrawals using that card and in all stole $4,000. Did she tell you that she was facing charges of theft in Scotland and a charge of fraud?
What happened was, when we were in prison, we managed to get hold of an hour of news one day, and in it said that one of the two British nurses faced a fraud charge. And I looked at it and thought, what's this fraud charge? I haven't done anything. And then Lucy said, oh, that must be me. I faced a charge in Scotland, but didn't enlighten me as to what it was.
6 months, possibly more, in a cell together, and she didn't tell you about this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does that cause you to think?
I'm suspicious, but I don't want to think it.
You don't want to think what?
That Lucy would have done anything.
If I got found guilty of stealing money off a patient, then it's a very, very serious offence.
Yes. Did you do that?
Well, you'll find out in December, won't you? I can't actually...
No, I can ask you now and you can tell me.
No, I can't.
Yeah, but are you innocent or guilty?
I'm not going to say whether I'm innocent or guilty. I've pleaded not guilty.
Lucy's guilt or innocence on this Dundee matter is very relevant because in the aftermath of Yvonne Guilford's murder, her cash card was abused in much the same manner.
In the days following Yvonne's murder, someone looted her bank account, looted it to the maximum permitted by the banking electronic arrangements, and tried to loot it still more by trying to fool the banking electronic arrangements. And that Lucille McLaughlin was caught red-handed, taking money out of Yvonne's account and trying to remit it to her own account in the very street, believe it or not, where I was born, in Dundee.
Now, possibly the most damaging thing against you is the evidence on the usage of the bank card.
What evidence?
Well, I'll come to it. But, I mean, it's pretty damaging, isn't it?
I don't believe so, no.
It's just a little difficult to get one's mind around the fact that you went to the bank 4 days in a row.
Who says?
Immediately after the death of Yvonne Guilford.
Who says I went 4 times in a row?
Well, there was the day that you were arrested, which is one day.
I wasn't at the bank that day.
Well, we'll come to the differing accounts on whether you were or were not in the bank. Lucille's account of events is, well, inconsistent. And that inconsistency colours any view of her claim that the cash card had been planted on her by the police when they arrested her. So let's go back then to the Monday, the first of the 4 consecutive days that you were at the bank.
16th.
Yes, Monday the 16th. That was the same day, you know, of course, that the first of the thefts from Yvonne's bank card account occurred. And by coincidence, you were at the bank about your own business. By chance, that bank, the one where her money was stolen from first time round.
How do you know it was that Yvonne's money was taken out of that bank?
That's the police account.
Yeah, that's a police account.
Well, then if we accept the imputations of your account, then it's a gigantic conspiracy on the part of the Saudis to frame you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, Elvis may be on the moon on top of a double-decker bus, but I don't believe it. And I don't believe that this is a Saudi conspiracy either. They have no motive for such a conspiracy. Indeed, they have a very powerful motive not to get involved in such a conspiracy.
Well, of course, I don't know who's telling the truth in this circumstance, but would you acknowledge that the circumstances surrounding your bank transactions in the days immediately after Yvonne Guilford's murder look a bit sus?
They look a bit sus because the Saudi police have made it look a bit sus. That is my answer to that question. Somebody would have had to have been completely mad to go and use Yvonne's bank card.
Yeah, but you see, you've done it before up here in Scotland.
Well, who says?
Well, you're not denying it.
I'm not denying it. I'm not admitting it
Not a
either.
charge.
You know, I'm not. There's something completely different from murder. You know what I mean? Yvonne was stabbed 14 times. This wasn't an accident. You know what I mean? Whoever murdered Yvonne certainly intended it for her to die. And to have her bank card, no matter by what means you got it, why go and use it? I mean, just sheer madness. I wish somebody would give us some common sense for not being so bloody stupid.
If she did visit the banks, as she is accused of having done, and if she left an electronic footprint behind, and if that can be produced, then that's pretty damning evidence. Would you agree with that?
The only thing I will say is that, yes, I believe that she had the card, and it doesn't make her guilty of murder. But I do say to Lucy, Lucy, just tell us how you got the card, and then we can work together. But please just tell us how you got the card.
But you can't expect her to say, I got it when I bashed up Yvonne Guilford.
But if she's not guilty of murder and just had the card, then please just tell us how she got the card.
With what has been revealed tonight, Lucille McLaughlin is in a quite difficult position as she now goes about promoting her book and her innocence. And what about work for you?
No.
Why not?
Certainly not nursing.
Why not?
Definitely not, no. I don't have the heart for it anymore. I mean, can you imagine a patient waking up to me and I'm looking after them? You know, can you imagine the reaction from the patient? It's not fair on me and it's not fair on them.
Now, you've put an account of what happened from your perspective. Now, can I put to you another account consistent with the facts as we know them and ask you to tell me where this account is wrong? That on that Wednesday night, you were found by Yvonne in her room stealing. You had a key to her room, you acknowledge that. A fight followed, you killed her. Then you concocted the story that has your colleague doing the actual stabbing. What do you say to that?
It's absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Okay, well then let me put a scenario to you. Lucille was sprung by Yvonne in a room, robbing the room, looking for the card, and in fact finding it. A struggle ensued, and that she did it. And then, accused you?
I want you to wait for me and my investigators and everyone else to be able to show the world and everyone who did it.
Yes, but is the scenario I outlined consistent with the known facts?
I'm not prepared to comment.
Okay, but tell me why not. I know you said this before, and I think you look quite weak when you say that.
I don't think I appear weak by saying that.
Well, you're prepared to, you know, suffer the opprobrium.
I have.
And
I know.
to continue doing
Yeah.
so.
For some reason, people want to carry on accusing me, and I've got to be patient and put up with that and be strong and hold my head up high, because I know I haven't done anything, until the day when we can release everything.
Right, tell me this. Do you think that you know who did it?
I think I know who did it.
Would you agree that it sounds like you're guilty?
Nope. No.
No,
I
not
don't.
that you are, that it sounds like it.
No. No, I still wouldn't agree with that. I'll never, ever agree to that. Never. Not on circumstantial evidence and rumours and, you know, so-called cash trails and versions from Saudi police.
Do you reckon Debbie did it?
No. No.
So we don't know?
Nope. I don't know who murdered Avon.
The decision of a lifetime.
At least have the guts to propose to me properly.
Now is the moment to farewell a true friend.
What's this? That's my resignation.
The fears,
I'm not going to marry you because I just don't need this.
the romance,
In sickness and in health, good times in bed.
Because you love her.
and the joy.
Hi, Nick. Take you, Zoe.
An experience you'll treasure always.
Goodbye and good luck.
Blue Healers, Tuesday on GWN.
Hard left coming up. Hard right coming up. Hard right. Ease off. Ease off.
The World Rally Drivers' Championship has been won the last 2 years in a Mitsubishi Lancer in tough conditions and even tougher terrain. What this means is that it's extremely reliable no matter what you throw at it.
Did I pass?
For a rally-based sedan from just $20,490, drive away with free air. The answer, the new Lancer.
Dreaming of a holiday in Asia?
I know a place. We'll take you there. Ain't no people crying. We'll take you there.
When it comes to the crunch, RAC Insurance guarantee the repairs after an accident. So, we'll get your car back, just the way it was. Another reason to trust your car to the experts at RAC Insurance.
Nothing spreads better than a Marshall multi-spread. Lupins, super, seed, gypsum, lime, fertilizer. In fact, about the only thing a Marshall multi-spread won't spread is butter.
If you're looking for menswear that is head and shoulders above the rest, then call into King Size Menswear and discover why King Size is no average store.
All the leading labels and the latest designs.
I shop at King Size Menswear because my husband needs the extra sleeve length.
I've been a customer for years. Great range and great value for money.
Great news for tour guys. The best casual range. Wouldn't go anywhere else. King Size Menswear, where style comes in your size. Hay Street, Perth, Inglewood and Cannington.
Talk about taste with this week's specials from DBC. Set spring sizzling with easy-for-me tangy barbecue beef ribs, just $2.99 a kilo. DBC blade steak roast, plain or seasoned, a low $3.99 a kilo. Sensational new DBC bacon and onion flavoured barbecue sausages, only $2.99 a kilo. And talk about taste with this week's gourmet special, easy-for-me reef and beef, just $11.99 a kilo.
It's easy for me.
Forget GSTs and new Howard governments. In much of the English-speaking world right now, there's just one topic of conversation about Australia. It's whether Shane Warne can recover from shoulder surgery and resume his brilliant career. That's this cricketer's fame. That's the impact he has on his sport. That's his importance to Australia if we're to keep winning. Well, the news is that our greatest weapon is being reloaded, carefully, and all eyes are on him. But for Shane Warne, there's nothing new in that.
So you haven't driven this for a couple of weeks?
No, I haven't driven this for ages. You know, it's like you got to wait 6 months for a nice day in Melbourne.
Nice car, though.
Shane Warne has been very good for cricket, and cricket good to him. It's earned him a big house, a very fast car, and a public profile that is almost Bradman-esque. He's not complaining. The purr of a Ferrari engine eases both the pain of his shoulder injury and doubts over his future.
Have you thought about what it is that you might do down the track?
I think I went through a stage this winter when I did, where there was a stage there when I might never ever bowl, and I started thinking about, shit, you know, what would I do? And honestly, I don't know. I haven't got any qualifications. I haven't got any university degrees. I'm not qualified in anything. I just haven't got any of that stuff.
What he has got is the ability to bowl spinners like no one before him. And what he's done with that talent is bring added excitement to the game, a fierce will to win, and a healthy streak of larrikinism.
Well, I think the game's progressed from now that, oh, jolly good shot, old chap, and have the tee, and oh, great shot. No, I think the game has progressed now.
This.
Yeah, it's in your face, I'm in your face, and try and win.
How's it feeling today, Shane?
Not bad, Steve. Just sort of gets, you know, where it gets stiff just up on the neck, bottom of the neck there.
Through this region?
Yeah.
For most of his career, Shane Warne has been used to bowling upwards of 8,000 deliveries a year. Human bodies aren't designed for that. And 6 months ago, he needed surgery to repair the tendon, cartilage and bone damage in his shoulder.
This section here is feeling comfortable?
Yeah, it feels good. I got 39 wickets in 6 tests last year. It's the best sum I ever had in my 7 or 8 summers here in Australia. And you say your shoulder's no good. So people start to think, well, hang on, what, you bloody just whinging? You know, you want a break. So I never took a break. I played and everything, and I suppose to my detriment, that's the extent of my shoulder, how bad it is. That's why I suppose it is as bad as what it is, and I had to have that operation.
And Warner's got him.
This is what's at stake. This is why Australian cricket needs Shane Warne to recover. 313 wickets in 67 tests. If he can return, a world record is for the taking. When he first joined the Australian team in 1991, the initial excitement was because he was a spinner in a game dominated by fast bowling. Then, 2 years later, against England, came this.
And he's done it. Getty has absolutely no idea what has happened to it. He still doesn't know.
And so began the brilliant career and the wear and tear on cricket's most valuable shoulder.
It's broken through, and that was very well bowled. Smith might
They said if I had kept going, that I could have maybe had 50 or 60% use of my shoulder for the rest of my life. Now that's pretty major. That means hardly any golf, tennis, throwing your baby in the air and doing lots of normal things that you can do.
6 months off cricket is not without its benefits.
Where's your ear? Where's your nose?
The Warne home team, wife Simone and baby daughter Brooke, have never seen so much of him. As for Shane, swapping hotels for house has been a revelation.
You gonna dance? You're not gonna dance, hey? Father will know exactly what I'm talking about when you just can't describe what it feels like when you wake up in the morning and your daughter comes running to the bed and you hide under the doona and you've been away for a week. Next minute she's going, Dada. And she lifts the doona up and sees you and goes, and she starts laughing and starts yelling, Dada. It really is a feeling of, there's just nothing, it doesn't matter. You don't even know what's going on in the rest of the world. You don't care. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
He told me today he's actually changed 2 nappies.
Oh, yes, the big 2 nappies. One was about 3 months ago and the other one was the other day, actually.
It is a big deal, this nappy changing, isn't it?
He's got this fear for some reason. I don't know whether he thinks, you know, she's going to squirt him or what she's going to do, or when he takes it off, he's just petrified of nappies. But I don't know. Maybe once he does a few, he'll sort of realise it's not that bad.
I think it sounds like a very good excuse.
Yeah, he's not exactly Mr. Mum material.
Oh, I've got 3 seconds to make the checkpoint. 2. Get there.
There's nothing terribly sophisticated about Shane Warne. He's just a boy from the burbs who now finds himself in a house full of big boys' toys and with an image that he says is way off the mark.
Oh.
Jeez, how many walls do you reckon?
So you reckon you're just an average young man?
Yep.
Just your regular boy next door?
Thanks, Liz. Yes, I am, aren't I? No, I think because of the way I play cricket, I think some people get the wrong impression of what I'm actually like. I think I'm too different. I suppose I'm a little bit like Jekyll and Hyde.
What do you reckon they think you're like?
Oh, arrogant, pompous, rude, obnoxious, big head. Geez, what else can I put in there? 20th out of 28. Terrible, Liz. No, terrible.
The goldfish bowl life is trying. And though he accepts it as the price of success, there are times when it all gets a bit much. Just because you make it as a Madame Tussauds Waxworks model doesn't mean you have to answer for not being as skinny.
That's why I wasn't answering any questions from you blokes. Yeah. That's it. Thanks, you ruined it, so thanks very much. I should have just said, yeah, good on you, mate, and had a bit of a giggle and get on with it. But at the stage, it was just constant. And it gets to a stage where enough's enough.
Well, I guess you're just human.
Well, good point. I think that people sometimes think that you're not human. You actually, yeah, we're exactly like that. We have got feelings. We do get hurt by some things. We've got thoughts about things, but we are human overall.
There is an obsession with Warne's weight and the food he eats. It turned farcical early this year during the Australian tour of India. The headlines blurted that Shane had sent out an SOS for baked beans because he couldn't stomach the local Indian food.
I apparently needed all this baked beans spaghetti. I was fading away to a block of flats, not a shadow. And they sent 960 kilos of baked beans and spaghetti. The next minute we got all this press about, we saw that they were superimposing baked beans, spaghetti, and then the gags happened. The Indian people are now wearing gas masks when they come out the bat. All those sorts of things happened. But everyone thought that I had ordered the baked beans, and I actually didn't. I didn't order it.
To set the record straight, 1, most of that ton of baked beans and spaghetti was given away when it landed in India. 2, Shane Warne is not fat, actually pretty fit. And 3, he's happy to confess he doesn't have a complicated palate.
Oh, meat pies we do like, especially at the footy with a cold beer. Being at the football, supporting your local club, being there with the mates, and getting one of those pies that they're not hot, they're not cold, but you can just demolish them in about 30 seconds. You can, and your sauce, well, no matter what happens, you always dribble the sauce on your, you've got a T-shirt or something.
I always get it
and
right
it
there.
always goes straight. It's like the jam donuts, just with that caravan. Hot jam donuts, 6 for $1.80, 6 for $1.80. And next minute, whatever end you look for the jam, jam's that end, right, okay, like this end. Then it goes straight down, it's hot and always goes over your fingers or down your jacket. Every time, it doesn't matter, and the sugar sticks to you.
See, but they're the things you're not allowed to do in the public.
Well, I think you can do those sort of stuff in public. I don't think you can drop your dacks and moon the crowd as well as when you're having a jam donut. I don't think you can do those things. But you can have a jam donut and all that sort of stuff.
Yes. And again. 1, 2, 3, go!
As for that other Shane Warne sin, yes, he does smoke. Yes, he knows it's not good for him. And yes, he's going to quit.
Rob said if we could get a couple with you, hand coming down, great. But
these shots are being taken for a Nicorette advertising campaign. And come the new year, Shane's resolution will be tested very publicly.
Go to 125th and to 5, 6.5.
Do you feel you have an obligation to the public?
It's a tough one. I think we have got an obligation to be a role model and set certain standards. But I think sometimes the public want a bit too much. The cameras over the road from my house where I live, and the bus tours that come past and, stop off and take pictures of your house, It's hard.
How did you feel when the first
Well,
bus rolled by?
the worst thing is I walked out of I just had the track on, I just woke up. Oh, geez, get the papers. So I got the papers, take them in. Next minute, there's this bus load. I said, oh, what are you guys doing here? Yeah, we're on a bus tour. And I said, how many? Twice a week. Oh, great. Well, do you mind if we get a photo? Oh, no, hey, all come over. So I stood there for about half an hour and did photos with them all, and then went back inside and just couldn't believe it.
You wouldn't believe it. He's done in between his legs.
To pass the time during his layoff, Shane has spent many hours in his theaterette, watching himself and his mates doing what they do best. It's always with cricket ball in hand, ready to return to action.
That's what the bat's for, son.
It's something that Terry Jenner, who's helped me a lot, he just said, listen, if you have a ball in your hand and you actually sit there and just play with it like this, I just did things like this and just play around in the hand and just get a feel for actually coming out the hand, all different deliveries, and just practice just these sort of things like a flipper, the leg break, like a top spinner, a wrong'un, a zudder, you know, getting all those sort of things happening.
Shane Warne is probably Australia's best-known sportsman, and the prize for that is calculated in the millions of dollars.
Have you guys seen Warne yet?
No.
He's the face of Just Jeans and Nike.
Warne arrived yet?
Has contracts with other companies, including Channel 9.
Who, Warne? You ripped off his clothes, so did you?
And then there are his own business sidelines.
There you go, Merry Christmas.
Oh, thanks. I've always wanted to bowl a wrong'un.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure you'd be good at it.
In fact, I think I've been bowling wrong'uns all my life.
Yeah, well...
Come to think of it.
Yes, yes, yes.
With his brother Jason acting as his personal assistant and business partner, already about 100,000 of these Shane Warne spinners kits have been sold.
I think this is the biggest, or the first real go at a business sort of thing. I'm not exactly sure what else I'd like to try. You know, you see lots of people getting into pasta, their own pasta mix or whatever it may be. I don't know. I think there'll be something out there that I might like.
Shane Warne pizza, come on.
Shane Warne toasted cheese sandwich might be half a chance. A special cheese and just toasted right might be well. But yeah, I don't know what's next. I hopefully get the shoulder right and start playing. It'd be nice.
In a few weeks, Australia takes on the old enemy, England. Although he is bowling again, chances are he won't be playing in the first test. His shoulder is not yet strong enough. For Shane Warne, it's the ultimate frustration. Until now, his whole life has been cricket, but his time off has forced him to take stock.
I'm emotional when I play. It's sometimes over the top, but I love it. I just really love it, and I get off on the game. I just love getting involved with it, and yeah, sometimes I go over the top, but I think that's what it's all about, having characters out there that you can relate to, that you know he's just a genuine bloke and he's having a good time out there.
What's best, being the family man or being probably the world's best spinner?
Family man. I really, really enjoy being part of the family. And cricket, I think, used to always be my #1 priority no matter what. Now it's #2. My family and my daughter, that's #1 now for sure. If I had to make a choice between cricket, my daughter and my wife today, no, not even a question. See you later, cricket. Kiss. Hey, ain't you dummy? Kiss. Thank you.
In her Oscar-winning role, Susan Sarandon.
Let's talk about what happened.
In his critically acclaimed portrayal, Sean Penn.
I didn't kill nobody.
I want the last thing you see in this world to be a face of love.
Dead Man Walking, Wednesday.
Rush along to your country Mitsubishi dealer who are having a grab a bargain sale. A sporty Lancer Coupe just $17,990 with free air. Magna Solara V6 with $3,600 worth of free extras. Free air, free alloy wheels, free cruise control. Just $28,990, drive away, no more to pay. And the all-new Lancer 4-door sedan with free air, only $24,990. Drive away, no more to pay. There's the proof. Your country Mitsubishi dealer doing great deals in the country.
Need freight delivered to the country overnight? Then this is the name to remember, Night Road Express. Our purpose-built depot has the most up-to-date freight handling systems. Just call before 5:30 p.m. and we'll deliver to any of 350 country locations by 9 a.m. the next working day, guaranteed. On time, on budget. Call Night Road Express on 9360 8888 because Night Road is delivering the goods.
Benny's big brother Barry has come to town. Yes, you'll get free curtain making on all 120 and 137 centimetre thermal fabric from only $12 a metre.
So see me, Barry, at the nearest textile traders store.
Nintendo 64 Twin Controller Pack contains Nintendo 64 system plus controller plus free limited edition clear purple controller. Nintendo 64 Twin Controller Pack valued at $249, now $199.
You want to see what's new in the industry?
Don't miss the first ever Horticultural and Forestry Expo 98. See the very latest in horticulture, viticulture, aquaculture, forestry and timber. A showcase of national and international innovation, promoting the major growth industries of the Southwest. There's displays, demonstrations, fashion, food and entertainment. Don't miss it. The Horticultural and Forestry Expo, Ray Park, Manjimup, Thursday, November 19.
With the rear seats up, Lancer Wagon has a staggering 579 litres of rear cargo space, whereas Polino costs more, yet holds a staggering 200 litres less. In fact, Lancer Wagon has more rear cargo space than any other car in its class, including Lantra and Nubira. So don't splash out. The answer, the new Lancer. From $21,990, drive away with free air.
When he was alive, John Paul Getty was a miserable and miserly recluse, a troubled man who had great difficulty with personal relationships, a man who didn't even like his own family very much. Yet, in death, John Paul Getty is making millions of people very, very happy indeed. He made a deathbed bequest, this world's richest man, a bequest of staggering imagination and mind-numbing generosity. A man with so little joy in his own life has had something built in his honour that rivals Disneyland as one of the great tourist attractions of the world. John Paul Getty was rich beyond imagination. But at his death, soon after this, his 80th birthday party, he left the bulk of his oil fortune for one purpose, an art museum. The Getty Trust began by buying 44 hectares high above what are probably the most expensive suburbs in the world, Beverly Hills and Bel Air in Los Angeles. Then they commissioned a team of 100 architects. This cultural landmark was built with 300 million kilos of imported Italian stone and cost well over $1 billion. From what one is told, this is probably as he would have had his memorial, because here they're trying to gather what is the very best art in the world, house it in what is probably one of the world's best museum buildings, and, as he stipulated, for free.
The amazing thing is that he left no strings.
Left no strings?
None. No conditions.
So you can do with what you like with the money?
Yeah, I think so long as it's within the general sphere of what art museums do. That was the idea.
John Walsh is the museum director. He says Getty left so much money and it was so skillfully invested that everything spent so far has come from just the interest earned.
That's the glorious stock market of the 1980s and 90s. We began in about the time this place got conceived with something like $2 billion. We now have moving up towards $5 billion, having already spent the money for this place and several billions beside both operating and acquiring works of art. So it's been a very good time to be in this business.
The Getty's financial clout is now directed inside. Under American law, the trust doesn't pay tax, but it is compelled to spend 5% of its capital each year. So they spend about $200 million annually just buying art. So David, this is your work?
Yeah, and a number of other curators. I've bought about half the paintings in this room.
How much money's in this one room?
Oh, somewhere between $60 and $80 million in acquisition costs. Yeah.
$80 million?
Well, Renaissance has always been the most sought-after area. If you want to get a good painting, you've got to pay a price for it here. There's not many left.
The curator of paintings is an Australian, David Jaffe. He came from the National Gallery in Canberra, where the annual acquisitions budget is $4 million, 1/50th of the Getty's. Here at the Getty, Jaffe was able to splurge 6 times the Australian budget on just one painting, a work by the Italian master Fra Bartolomeo.
I think we paid something like $24 million for it, US. It was the last great high Renaissance altarpiece in good condition, and that for us made it very desirable. As you see, it holds a whole wall effectively in the gallery, and it's almost perfect. You've got the mist on the trees, and you've got...
Most of the buying has been done since Getty died, because this tycoon was a tight one. He lived as a recluse in Sutton Place, a country estate in England. While his business thrived, his family life was a disaster. 5 wives, 5 sons, and 5 divorces. One son died young, another committed suicide, and when a grandson was kidnapped, Getty would only pay the ransom after the abductors cut off the boy's ear.
You never saw him until early in the morning. He'd be on the phone to Saudi Arabia or wherever he was, wherever the oil was gushing at that moment. And then he had this wonderful butler called Bullymore, and he'd say, "Mr. Getty will see you now, madam," and it was 3 in the morning.
Gillian Wilson helped Getty himself begin the art collection, and she's still adding to it as the museum's curator of decorative arts.
And he had one of those leather pigs. You know, they used to sell them at Liberty's, and it was down by his chair, and he'd say, "Sit on the pig, dear." And I'd have to sit on this terrible pig. Couldn't smoke in front of him. And then start to show him photographs, because what I was doing was building up the collection, buying things for the museum. He loved, this is an important piece, I bought this at auction for $2 million. It was bought in 1979. It's a long time ago. It was a world record price.
The decorative arts galleries at the Getty now display much of what the old man chose himself. Furniture was his first love, more so, it's said, because it was cheaper than art. Apparently, he remembered the exact price of everything.
He would say to me things like, "I can remember buying such and such a table 36 years ago for £350, 5 shillings and 6pence. I mean, he used to do odd things. There was a story that somebody invited themselves, I think it was a dealer, to Sutton Place. And when they came, Mr. Getty gave them tea, and then he sent them a bill for tea.
What about the story of one of his employees who was upbraided by Getty for buying an electric pencil sharpener?
That was our previous director, of course. Yeah, I thought it was wonderful.
But why? What a miserable old codger.
It was principle. Where would this go? Or where would this lead to? First of all, there's the electric pencil sharpener, then it's the Rolls Royce, and then what happens?
Things couldn't be more different these days. Beneath the public areas of the museum is a hidden world of high-tech spaces and 1,000 specialist staff, some of them the best in the world. In the restoration laboratories, experts like Mark Leonard make the old masters shine again.
It looks beautiful.
Can't wait to see you doing the whites under her sleeves. They're going to be terrific too.
Breathtaking.
And the blues is so beautiful. It's a real ultramarine, isn't it?
The Getty strategy is simple. Buy the very best and pay top dollar if you have to. When Alan Bond hit the wall, they swooped on his prized possession, Vincent van Gogh's irises. The deal was done quickly and secretly, unlike Bond, who bragged about the $50 million he had paid for it. As for Getty himself, well, he probably wouldn't have chosen it. Flowers weren't really his scene.
But Getty liked these kind of paintings. Getty definitely had a taste, and dealers record, contemporary dealers, that he liked paintings of nude women, for instance, which is just what you're not supposed to be propagating now because it's sexist.
But he liked women no matter what they looked like or how old they were. You could be old, young, fat, thin, pretty, ugly. We always used to dress for dinner at a certain place, and I made sure that I wore something very plunging for dinner.
So the more money you wanted, the lower the neckline?
The lower the cleavage, the more invoices he would sign.
Nowadays, David Jaffe scours dealers' rooms and auction houses knowing he's got the fattest checkbook in the art world. Today, David is in New York at the invitation of art dealer Richard Feigen.
This is a fabulous one.
It's absolutely ravishing.
Yeah, it's owned privately, and I think possibly we can get it for sale.
Well, you could put me on my list if it comes available. I think it's
well, it sort of is available, but not
David walks a fine line now in building the collection. Sure, the Gettys got the money, but they dare not pay too much lest they blow out the prices and spoil it for everyone. Well, what about this one over here then, the St. Francis? Is that one for sale?
Yes.
Who owns that?
My firm owns it.
I see. How much do you want for it?
We're asking $1,600,000.
How much are you going to offer it?
It's not necessary. It doesn't work that way, Richard. I haven't made up my mind. That's the painting I want for my collection, so it's crazy for me to go and say, will you take 800,000 or will you take 1.2 or 1.4? You have to work out if you want it. You don't go around sort of making guesses, you know, at the price.
With the billions spent already, the Getty Museum is